Being a Christian doesn't make life easier. We still have trials, we still have problems and crises. But in the midst of those trials, we can discover God's grace and strength. The Word gives us a promise that His grace is sufficient for us, and His power is made perfect in weakness. For me, there was a time when I really lived that and saw that. A time when my family was in transition. My father had passed away after a successful surgery, but he unexpectedly passed away the next day. My role as a daughter was changing as I related to my mother. And then at that same time, my kids, my flesh and blood, decided to grow up. They moved away and went to college. So my role as mother was changing. I was in internal turmoil with the changing of the roles, but then I noticed something else changing within me, my health. Something happened I never would have imagined. I had a sore on my tongue that wouldn't heal. After several dentist visits, I was referred to an oral surgeon, and the oral surgeon wanted to remove the tissue. And so in his office, he did a procedure that removed a section of my tongue. And he thought that preoperatively, he thought that it was an ulcer, and he almost did not send it off for a biopsy. Well, I went home, I had stitches in my tongue. I didn't know they could do that to your tongue. Yeah, it was kind of like my throat was swollen, my mouth was swollen, and all I could do was rest. And I remember laying on my bed when that day that the phone call came. I picked up the phone and the doctor's voice was very serious. Well, I have some bad news and I have some good news. The bad news is it's cancer. The good news is that I got it all. It has clean edges. I've talked to an oncologist and and I'm like, wait. My mind stopped and I froze on the word cancer. A cancer I never imagined that anybody could even have, tongue cancer. I called my husband, who came home, and we embraced and we cried together. We prayed. That night I went to my piano and I sat down. Usually I sing and play piano, but I couldn't sing because I couldn't talk. I couldn't use my voice. And I sat it down, I started to play. And God ministered to me. I gave Him my questions, my what ifs. How come? What am I going to do now? I gave it to Him, and He gave me His peace. That deep peace that passes understanding. And I had an assurance that everything would be okay. Yes. I learned to rest in the refuge of God's grace. And in that refuge, I found deeper prayer and Bible study and praise. I had to relearn to talk. I couldn't even say my name. My name was NancyKayGrace2. NancyKayGrace2. I had to practice that. And so I've had to relearn to talk several times. I'm going to fast forward and just say the treatments that I've had has been regular doctor's appointments, and that if he sees something, he will remove the tissue. Fast forward to a time when my mother passed away. I was waiting for her funeral service, and I noticed a sore on my tongue again. After I got home, called the doctor, immediately got in. He immediately scheduled a glossectomy for the next day. I didn't even know what that was. And the surgery took longer than it anticipated. During that time, my mother-in-law passed away. I went to my post-operative appointment, and he said that I had done the right thing by going to him, and he had done the right thing by taking more tissue, because he took about 1.25 inches off of my tongue. And it was cancerous. So within 2 weeks, I had 2 funerals. 1 cancer surgery, but 1 refuge of God's grace. Amen. At the last checkup, I was able to go, and he released me after 15 years of doctor's checkups, 6 biopsies, 2 of which were cancer. All that, I had one refuge in the God of all grace. So I want to use this tongue to speak about God's grace. His grace is sufficient for all of us.
Amen.